Samsung makes a lot of televisions, but the Q80T strikes a sweet spot between picture quality, size, and a price that's not out of this world. Let's take a look. I'll start off with the price. This TV is $1,500 for the 65-inch size you see here. It's available from 49 all the way up to 85 inches. Of course, the larger it gets, the more expensive it gets, but the price range really solid again for the features and the picture quality that you get. As usual with Samsung, the design on the Q80T is pretty slick. The stand here, first thing you'll notice, is actually a central pedestal, which is kind of going away on TVs these days. Most of the models you see on the market have splayed stand legs to either side. This thing, a nice central pedestal. I really like the look a lot better because it keeps the TV high, gives you this kind of sense that it's floating. There's a big piece of metal down here, nice and solid, so you don't need to worry about any of that tipping that some of the older pedestal models had. Of course, you can mount this TV on the wall if you want to. Going around the edge, super thin. Samsung, of course, uses matte black like pretty much everybody else. Super tiny Samsung logo. Around back, you can see it's relatively thick. That's because it's got that full array local dimming backlight. Of course, not a huge deal. Not too many people watch TV from the side. It's also got this nice textured finish to the back. The remote's another important part of the design. This thing's super simple. It's got just a few buttons, and of course it's got voice activation on there. New for this year, Samsung actually has real voice assistants, not just Bixby, but Google Assistant and Amazon Alexa. And you can activate either of those assistants hands-free without touching the remote if you decide to. It doesn't have the mic built into the television, the mic's built into the remote. So again, if you want that hands-free activation, it is an option. Of course, just like any other Alexa or Google Assistant device, you can use it to control smart home, you can check the weather, and do all those other little things from the television as opposed to having to use a speaker. Alexa, turn off the lamp. Now we'll take a look at Smart TV. This uses Samsung's Tizen system, and one of the first things you'll notice, it doesn't take up the entire screen. I really like that. You can keep an eye on what you're doing, as well as browsing apps and driving around the screen here. So as you can see, plenty of apps in the Samsung ecosystem, one of the best out there, although not quite as many as you get on a Google TV or a Roku television. The Samsung app system, though, has this nice design where you can kind of see new tiles and shows that pop up right on top when you drive over the top. It also has a really nice settings menu, so I'll go over here and go up to the top. You can see there's quick access to a lot of different settings, including game mode, picture mode, and other extras you can get to really quickly without diving deep into the menu. I like that a lot. Let's try the voice activation right now. We're going to just put the remote right here and say, Alexa, what's the weather? And there you go. Connectivity is very good for this TV. Around back you'll find 4 HDMI inputs that handle the bulkier devices. I didn't get the chance to hook up a PS5 or an Xbox Series X to this TV in time for the review, but I can tell you that based on its specs, it should be very good for those new consoles. The TV has 4K 120Hz input, so you can get that smoother motion. The TV also has variable refresh capability, which allows it to avoid tearing and other artifacts that some lesser TVs might experience on those new consoles. As with all TVs, I did test input lag, and on the Samsung it's excellent, so you're not going to get any delay between playing the game and seeing the results on the screen. I spent most of my time in the review looking at picture quality, and the Q80T is excellent. I compared it directly against a Vizio P-Series, a TCL 6 Series, and a Sony X900H. It's right in the middle of those very good full-array local dimming TVs. Its HDR quality was very good, but it didn't have the bright highlights and the pop that the Vizio and the TCL showed. I also didn't measure those highlights quite as high on the Samsung as on those other TVs. Black levels were also not quite as good as on those other televisions. That means that areas of darkness were a tiny bit lighter, a little bit less realistic on the Samsung in my side-by-side comparison. On the other hand, it was a very smooth image, a very natural image, and the Samsung did a great job of controlling blooming, which is stray illumination in some dark areas. So that was a point in its favor. Video processing was also very good on this TV, and speaking of gaming, input lag, again, extremely good. So at the end of the day, the Samsung Q80T isn't the best value, and it doesn't have the best picture quality. What you're buying this TV for is design and features. It has a really nicely integrated external look with a great remote and a really nice smart TV system. It also has excellent connectivity. If those are reason enough for you, or you just like the Samsung brand, the Q80T is the best value in the lineup for 2020. Its image quality is definitely better than any Samsung TV that doesn't have full array local dimming, and if you spend more on a Samsung TV like the Q90 or any of its 8K televisions, you're going to run into the issue of OLED. OLED TVs from LG and Sony perform better than those televisions in my experience, and the 8K really isn't worth it unless you get to gigantic screen sizes. Even then, you're really not seeing any benefit because there's no 8K content. That's why the Samsung Q80T sits at the sweet spot between price, picture quality, and of course, the fact that it's a Samsung. I'm David Katzmeyer for CNET.